Hi, welcome back to the Cube for All session today. And today we are going to talk about PostgreSQL, which is a relational database which has been in the development for more than 25 years. And we are going to hear from Senthil about how to spin up PostgreSQL on Kubernetes environments using gopaddle Community Edition. So before we get started, I really want to introduce Senthil. So Senthil comes with a lot of insight and experience into building large scale AI ML cloud native platforms. And he has more than 20 years of experience in the telecom, cloud, and containers. And if you have heard of kube-fledged, then you know who the father and the maintainer of kube-fledged open source solution, and he is also one of the core members and the organizer of the KCD Chennai event. So we are very glad to host you, Senthil, in this event, and we are really looking forward to hearing from you on how you got about running Postgres on Kubernetes, and what additional knowledge that we could gather while doing so.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Vinodini. I'm really so glad to be able to join the Q4 All session. And in fact, I'm actually looking forward to it. I actually started with gopaddle lite a month back. Being an, it's a free for life edition. And I have actually used several PaaS platforms before, so I have familiarity with using OpenShift. I have worked on OpenShift for some time, and I have a little bit inclination towards platforms that are very developer focused, right? So, as a developer, how do you manage the complexities that come along with migrating your applications to Kubernetes? So, I have inclination towards PaaS platforms, and really, GoPaddle Lite was actually a very nice tool. So what I like about GoPaddle Lite is it actually gives you a very nice web user interface. It's actually very easy to deploy applications. It has a very good marketplace, and all these things actually bode well for developers. And especially today, I am going to make use of this opportunity to actually show the viewers on how to actually go about deploying PostgreSQL. And along with PostgreSQL, I'm also going to show how to deploy pgadmin. Pgadmin is actually an web user interface for interacting with PostgreSQL. So before I get started, let me share my screen. Yeah. All right. So let me first of all log into GoPaddle Lite. And by the way, my environment is like this. So I have created a Google Cloud account, and there in my Google Cloud account, I have created an Ubuntu virtual machine. And onto this Ubuntu virtual machine, I have simply deployed GoPaddle Lite. So GoPaddle Lite comes as microcreators add-on, and actually the whole experience of installing GoPaddle Lite was actually very easy. So all I had to do was install microcreators and then simply enable the GoPaddle Lite add-on, and then without any issues I got the entire platform up and running in a few minutes. So the installation experience was actually very good with GoPaddle Lite. And once GoPaddle Lite is installed, uh, I need to actually sign in into GoPaddle Lite. So I'm going to just do that. So once I sign in, right, so this is how the dashboard will look like. Um, it has several useful information. For instance, what I found most useful was this alerts and events. So it kind of gives you all the information that is actually going on within your cluster. So here you can see that all the activities are listed. So these are all the activities that I did. So this is actually really nice. So let's get started with deploying PostgreSQL first. So I'm going to do this demo in two steps. So in the first step, I will be deploying PostgreSQL from gopaddle Lite's marketplace. Okay. And in the second step, I'm going to deploy pgadmin. So pgadmin is again an open source web UI interface for PostgreSQL databases. So in the second step, I'm going to install pgadmin, not from the marketplace, but I'm going to directly install pgadmin from the container image that is published in Docker Hub. Okay, so I'll explain all those things while I do these steps. And I'm also going to actually, configure pgadmin to directly talk to PostgreSQL. So I'm going to show you how to actually connect the pgadmin deployment as well as the PostgreSQL deployment and see how both these deployments are able to work together. So let's get started. So all I need to do is go to the marketplace. It's there available under the deployments menu item. So here you can see a list of very useful, easily deployable services, very prominently used services. So you see many services. So I'm going to use the PostgreSQL template. So this is how the landing page of the template itself will look like. So next, so here you see this template actually has two services underneath. So one is the master service, another is the slave service. So you have the master service of the Postgres. So you'll get both the master as well as the slave when I use this template. So I'm going to just go ahead and subscribe to this service, and that is how we actually need to go about before deploying a service in gopaddle. So first of all, I need to subscribe to the service. So once I subscribe, uh, I will be able to see this subscription in the user defined template. So if I go to the dashboard, right, so I can see what is the status of subscribing to this template. So here you can see that creation initiated, right? And if I do a refresh, I can see that the subscription should be successful. So again, I'm going to go to alerts and events. Okay. So it has, I got a message saying that the subscription is successful. So let me go ahead and check whether I can see the subscription. Okay, so not yet. So we will have to wait for some time before it shows up in the user templates. Yeah, so here it is. So here you can see that my subscription is successful and I'm able to see PostgreSQL here. So next step, I'm going to go ahead and deploy this. And again, deployment of this template is again super easy. All I need to do is select actions and then click on launch. So I'm going to give the name of the application as PostgreSQL. Okay. So this is the name of the application. And before I go ahead and deploy this template, let me actually quickly show you what happens under the hood when I actually subscribe to a template. Okay. So basically what happens under the hood is you will see services instantiated here. So here you can see that I have two instances. I have two services. So one is the master service and another one is the slave service. And if I go to the containers, I'll also see that there is a master container as well as a slave container. And the subscription will also create some default policies. For instance, um, if I go to the deployment policy, so here you can see that gopaddle Lite has already created a default deployment policy, which is again a rolling update. And here it will also create other policies. For instance, if I go to the network policy, I can see that there is a PostgreSQL network policy that is already created. So these policies are already created under the hood. And all we need to do is just go to the deployments uh, do look up the subscribe template in user templates, and then we are ready to launch. Okay, so here if you see, I should be able to see the list of containers, uh, and I'm not able to get the list of containers, so I'll have to wait for some more time. Yeah, here you can see that the list of containers is available. So now I'm going to go ahead and deploy the template. Okay, again here here I am giving the application name as PostgreSQL, and here the cluster is my microKTS cluster, and here you can see both the master and the slave images listed. And here I'm presented with the option of choosing the storage. And since it's a microKTS cluster, so I'm going to use the option of using the cluster provided storage driver, because microKTS by default it comes with a host path storage provider. So I'm going to use that storage provider. And then uh, here I'm given an option of what are the how I'm actually want to how I'm going to actually expose the PostgreSQL, whether I need to do use an ingress or not. So in this case, I'm not interested in exposing this via an ingress, because I'm going to use this as my backend database. So I just click next, and here you will see the default list of environment variables that are pre-populated from the template. So here I am going to actually give the PostgreSQL admin's username as admin, the password as also admin, and I have an option of pre-creating a database. So I'm just going to give the name gopaddle to the database. So what this will do is basically it will actually create the user, admin user with these admin credentials, and it will also create a database by named gopaddle. So let's continue. So I'm not interested in providing additional configs. So nodes, so I leave it to gopaddle to select the nodes, which is the default node allocation policy that will be applied as provided by Kubernetes. So node affinity, no, I'm not interested in node affinity. So I just click on finish, and this will actually create all the necessary Kubernetes resources for running the application. So the application is launched successfully. So let me go and view the application. So here you can see that it gives you information on what this application is composed of and what are the various resources that get created along with this application. So the application launch, it says successful. So let me do a refresh. Yeah, now it is running. So the PostgreSQL is now successfully deployed and it is running. So let me take a look at the services. Let me verify if the master and slave services are running fine. So yes, they are running fine, both master and slave. And let me click on master, and I'm just trying to verify the container logs and see if the master and the slave are the replication between the master and the slave are happening fine. So here I am just going to click on containers. So there is one container running as part of the service, and I have the option of looking at the logs. So I can see here that database system is ready to accept connection. So this looks good. So everything looks good. So probably within a couple of minutes, you see, I'm able to actually subscribe to a template, and then I'm actually able to launch the application, right? So PostgreSQL is now successfully deployed in my Kubernetes cluster. And I can actually, so I have also seen the container logs and I have verified whether the application is running fine or not. So it's running fine. So step number one is already completed within a span of, 2 minutes. So you can see that I created it back 2 minutes ago. Okay, so step number one is completed. My PostgreSQL is successfully deployed. So next I'm going to actually deploy pgadmin. So pgadmin is is actually a web UI, which gives you more. It gives you more option of how you want to actually interact with the PostgreSQL database. And pgadmin itself is an open source project, and pgadmin is actually delivered as a container image in Docker Hub, and this is where the container image of pgadmin is delivered. So you can see the repository name that it is delivered to. It's dpage/pgadmin4. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and deploy pgadmin, and this time I'm going to deploy it not from the marketplace because pgadmin is not available in the marketplace. So this gives me an opportunity for me to also demonstrate how to add, user defined template. So I'm going to create a template. So this is how it will look like. So here, if you see, I have the option of composing my template using already available services. So I haven't actually created a service yet. So I'm just showing you how simple the template itself is, the user defined template. So the first step is, first of all, I need to create a container because pgadmin is delivered as a container. So all I need to do is just configure this container. So here are the steps how to actually create this container. So I'm going to give the name as pgadmin4, and I'm going to leave several options as default. And pgadmin by default, it listens in port number 80. So I'm just adding this port, opening up this port on the container of pgadmin4. That's all the setting that I'm doing. Health check, no, I don't need to add an health check. Storage, no, I don't need any storage. Configuration, no. Yeah, environment variables. I'm going to add a few environment variables. This is to make sure that pgadmin runs properly within a proxy environment. So before that, I'm going to actually add the credentials of pgadmin itself. So this is done by using a couple of environment variables. So I'm going to add these environment variables now. So I'm going to give the credentials. I'm just giving my email ID. This is one environment variable. The other environment variable is the password, the admin user's password. So I'm just giving the password as admin. And there are other environment variables that I need to add to this container. This is to make sure that pgadmin is capable of working behind a reverse proxy. Okay. So I'm just going ahead and adding these environment variables. Okay, so there are some 5 environment variables that I need to add. So let me add those environment variables. So the next one is host count. So the final one is prefix count. So if you notice, I'm giving the value as 1 for all these environment variables. The reason why I'm doing this is because only then pgadmin will be able to understand that it is actually running in an Kubernetes environment and also running on top of GCP, right? So there is some proxying involved before the request actually reaches pgadmin. So pgadmin will have to know that it is running behind a reverse proxy. Okay, and I'm actually setting all these 5 proxy related environment variables to the value 1, just to make sure that pgadmin is able to serve the web UI appropriately when deployed in gopaddle. Okay. So I've added all the environment variables. Now I'm going to say finish. So I have added the container. I'm now just going to add the repo of this container image. So I know the repo of this container image. So it's actually hosted in Docker Hub in dpage/pgadmin4. So I'm going to just add that here, and it's a public Docker Hub registry. Okay, so I'm just adding that. I don't have to override the entry points or CMD arguments. I'm fine with whatever is defined in the image. So I click on finish. So my container, so I have already, what I have done is I have configured an container. So it's an abstraction that is provided by gopaddle lite for you to deploy, containers as applications. So once that is done, my next step is to actually create a service out of this container. Okay. But before that, I need to actually create an scaling policy, because for pgadmin, my requirement is I need to have exactly one replica of pgadmin running. So I'm actually defining an scaling policy which will tell that I exactly need one replica. Okay. And so I'm just fine with 70% of CPU and memory utilization. So I have created this scaling policy successfully. Next, I'm now ready to actually go and add a service for pgadmin. Okay. So I'm naming the gopaddle service as pgadmin4. So this is the name that will be used for the Kubernetes service. So when the Kubernetes service resource is created, this is the name that will be used for pgadmin4. Yeah, other things are fine. Yeah, I don't need any volumes. Deployment policy is fine. So scaling policy, instead of the default scaling policy, I'm going to use the scaling policy that I created just now. So which will make sure that I have only one replica of pgadmin running. Yeah, network policy, no, I'm fine with all the other things. So I have actually created a service, so I can view the service now. And I'm going to just add the container that we created in the previous step to this service. So I'm going to just add the container. So I'm selecting the pgadmin4 container. Allocation policy, I'm fine with the allocation policy. So here I am deciding to expose this to the external um, network. So I actually select the external. Basically, this will result in creating a node port Kubernetes service rather than a cluster IP Kubernetes service. Okay. So I've just added it. So the container is successfully added. So let me save it. Okay. So this completes the creation of service as well. And finally, now it's time for me to go to the deployments section. So I'll just click on user templates, and I'm now ready to add a deployment template. Okay. So I'm going to just select, I'm going to give the name pgadmin4 description. No. So I'm going to actually add the pgadmin4 service. So this is the service that we created. So I'm just adding this service to this template, and I have successfully created the template. So here I can view the template. Okay. So I have now successfully created a user-defined template for deploying the pgadmin4 container. Okay. So that is what I have done till now. So this is as opposed to using a predefined template or an inbuilt template that comes along with the marketplace. So by this way, we can actually deploy our own containers. So it's very easy, for us to create templates ourselves. And we also have the option of using predefined and pre-built templates from the marketplace. Now I'm ready to actually deploy an application out of this template. So I'm going to click on launch. Again, for the application name, I'm giving pgadmin4. and the cluster is microcatus, and here I can see that it is actually going to deploy this container image. So let me click on next. So this is where I'm going to specify the host port, that is exactly the port on which pgadmin will be served. Okay, so I'm specifying the port 31003. Okay, and env variables, you can see all the env variables that I added when I actually created the template. So all these values are fine. So I don't require any config. I don't require any special rules for node selection. I'm fine with whatever is there with node affinity as well. So I'm clicking on finish. So the application is successfully launched. So I'm just viewing the application, and I know this application is composed of one service, and this service is in the process of getting created. So the application launch succeeded, it says. So let me click on the service and actually check. So the service is now actually getting created. So this is not actually an error. So these are actually some messages that get generated related to some configurations. But what we are actually interested in is to see if the containers are all successfully launched. So it is running fine, right? So I can see that this is the name of the pod, and within this pod I can see that all the conditions have been successfully met, and the pod is now successfully running. And here I can see that this is the container. The name of the container is pgadmin4. I'm just making sure that it is working fine. So I'm able to see the logs, and I'm able to see that it is working fine. It is actually listening on port number 80. So now let me once again go back to the applications. Okay, I'll click on this. So here I can see that the application is successfully running. So pgadmin4, the status is running. It was created just a minute ago, and everything looks fine. So what we have done till now is that I have actually successfully installed PostgreSQL or deployed PostgreSQL from gopaddle Lite's marketplace. And in the second step, I have successfully installed or deployed a pgadmin4 by using the container image that is published in Docker Hub. Okay. So now it is time for me to open pgadmin4 and connect pgadmin4 to the PostgreSQL instance that is already running in gopaddle Lite. So I'm going to use, you remember we actually deployed pgadmin4 as a node port service. So I'm actually going to use the IP address of the node followed by the port. So this is the port number that we configured when I actually deployed pgadmin4. So let me wait until the web UI is displayed. Yes. So I'm going to actually use the admin credentials that I configured when I deployed the pgadmin. So this is the email ID and the password. Yeah, the UI is loaded. So now I'm able to successfully log in into the UI. So I can be very confident that the pgadmin deployment also went very smoothly, and I'm able to log in into the web UI. And now we are ready to start step number 3. Basically, here we want to actually configure pgadmin to talk to the PostgreSQL that we deployed in step number 1. So I'm going to just add. So I'm going to say the server. So the server is actually PostgreSQL. So I give the name PostgreSQL. And here I come to the connection, and this is the name I gave. I gave the name as PostgreSQL. If you remember, I gave the name of the application as PostgreSQL, and I actually need to connect to the master instance. Okay, so the master instance is actually exposed in this service name, PostgreSQL-master, and it is actually the name of the application is PostgreSQL. So by default, what happens is when gopaddle lite deploys an application, it creates a separate namespace. Okay, by the name using the name of the application itself. So PostgreSQL-master is the name of the service, and PostgreSQL is the name of the namespace. Okay, and username username is username of this uh, PostgreSQL database is admin. The password is also admin. So we are ready to add the server. Okay, so yeah, I can ignore this. It's going to be a demo. All right. So I have successfully connected pgadmin with PostgreSQL. Let me go ahead and verify if the connection is successful. You remember, I told you that when I deployed PostgreSQL, I actually configured it to create a default database by name gopaddle. So here I can verify that the database is also successfully created. So step number 3 is also completed. So basically, step number 1 was deploying PostgreSQL from gopaddle's marketplace. Step number 2 was deploying pgadmin4 using pgadmin4's container image published in Docker Hub. And step number 3 was to configure pgadmin to talk to the PostgreSQL database that we deployed in step number 1. And from here, I mean, we can do any configurations. For instance, I can actually try to create a table. Okay, so I can go here. I can actually go and create a table. I can say the name of the table is, let's say, employees. Yeah, so the table is also created successfully. So I created this employees table, and I can actually, you know, yeah, I'm actually able to run a query and see what is there inside this table. So this table currently doesn't has any rows because we haven't added any rows. So there is an option to actually add rows. So we can also do that if wanted. But I'll actually take a pause here, and I think this is something trivial, adding rows and columns. So I'm not going to show that during the demo in this demo. So basically, to give you a summary, gopaddle lite has this very cool feature of deploying applications from the marketplace. So all I need to do is just go to deployments and pick what application that I want to deploy. So that is the approach that I used for deploying PostgreSQL. And apart from deploying applications from marketplace, gopaddle lite gives this flexibility of deploying you user defined containers. So it's not that the container image has to be published in Docker Hub. So it can also be published to some other repository. So here I chose to actually deploy an application pgadmin4 from Docker Hub by defining my own template. So I showed you that how to actually create containers and services within gopaddle lite, and how to eventually add the service to the template, and then finally use that user defined template to actually deploy your application. Yeah, that's it, guys. So I think I have completed my demonstrations. Yeah, it's done. Thank you.
Yes, Senthil. So this is very super insightful, and all this along, we have shown scenarios where you can subscribe to a couple of templates. Like, for instance, we did something on MongoDB a couple of weeks ago, but the illustration of how to create something like a user-defined template from scratch, and then connecting the services, and then getting the a full-blown end-to-end. Database and managing those database is something totally new to this community now, and I think this is a super useful presentation. So as I think you have highlighted it in the beginning of the session itself, so somebody can actually bring up microKTS either on their own local desktops, be it Mac or Ubuntu environments, and you can bring up this whole microKTS add-on and have all of this enabled on their laptops itself, right? and it's totally free, right? I think you can share some more experience on that front.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the way I started it is I actually was interested in gopaddle lite because it is more focused towards developers, and I just wanted to try it out. And the moment I started to see that it is actually available as a micro-creators add-on, right? It is actually very simple to get gopaddle lite itself installed because I can even show you, so you'd see if you are familiar with micro creators supports, bringing in your add-ons. So there is a possibility to create your own add-ons as well, and micro creators comes with some pre-built add-ons. So it is actually very easy to add the gopaddle lite add-on onto micro creators, and then I simply have to issue one single command. So it might sound, mm, very easy and simple, but that is how it is. I mean, I was able to simply add the gopaddle lite add-on and then simply enable this add-on just like any other built-in micro creators add-on, and that's it. Just that single command was sufficient to bring up the entire gopaddle lite environment onto the micro creators node, and there was no human intervention at all required. So the moment you just enable the microcreators add-on, it just installs everything, and then neatly all the services come up. And I can also show you the list of services that it brings up. So it brings up all these services in a namespace called as gp-lite. Here you see that I brought this environment 18 days ago, 20 days ago, and you see it brings up all these services, all these infrastructure services, all these application services that makes up gopaddle lite in just a single command. That's it. That is all I did. So it's very useful. I felt that it is very useful. Gopaddle, using gopaddle lite, installing gopaddle lite on your microcaters is very simple, and using gopaddle lite to deploy, production grade, your grade applications that you normally use for development. For instance, today I showed how to install PostgreSQL and pgadmin. So the experience was very smooth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senthil, and we really look forward to the community to give it a try, and we are also open to hearing from other developers who have taken a look at this and want to share their use cases and how they used gopaddle and how it benefited them. So the good part is that you don't have to worry about getting initial the licenses and everything. So you can just get started with your own laptops and get everything free, and it's lifetime free, right? And if you want to scale, I mean, if you want to go beyond one instance and if you want to do more, then we can certainly connect and talk, right? So we are going to come up with a couple of more enhancements to this. So we have made it super light in the coming release, and we are just a couple of days behind on the release. So we can just bring this up on edge environments, laptops, and MacBooks with less resource requirements. And we also have a few quick start wizards. So the goal of quick start wizards is to get anything up and running in just a few minutes. Like for instance, you can build your Jenkins pipelines, or like Azure DevOps pipelines, or containerize an existing microservice source code into Docker containers. So you'll get to see all of these quick start wizards, which will get you up and running in a few minutes, say 5 minutes at the max, based on what type of application. It can actually go a little beyond, but 5 minutes is what our benchmarks we have seen so far. And even if you want to bring up clusters like EKS, AKS, or even Google GKA environments, so for that's slightly for enterprise kind of licenses. So even that you can get up and running in a few minutes, right? So we have all these cool new features coming up. So stay tuned for our next session. So we'll be showcasing some of those quick start wizards, and then even talking to some of the community users and give some more insights into it. Thank you so much. Thanks, Senthil, for taking time and demoing how gopaddle Lite helped you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vinodini, for having me on your show. Thanks a lot, viewers, for your time in seeing this demonstration. Hope to see you all soon. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.